I had just spent 2 months in Southeast Asia, 2 fun and cheap and vaguely educational months. I had the "where are you going next" conversation with 20 people a day and just didn't think about how Java never came up. A few people flying straight to Bali, but nobody excited for Java.
Oh, right.
I was still with my 2 friends from the rest of the trip, but now Molly had flown out to travel with us. Molly has Indonesian relatives, and back home we talked a little about places to go in Indonesia, just assuming that we would travel across Java and thinking nothing of it. Jakarta was pretty forgettable. Huge and crowded and dirty, not unlike other places, but without most of the redeeming charm and interesting spots that could be found in other dirty cities. Mostly I was unsure where we'd go when our 3 nights in the hostel was up, or how we'd get there. There were no other backpackers to get recommendations from for the first time. There was a sense of culture shock, having been so used to Thailand and Vietnam, the light-hearted lands of droves of Europeans, following each other into minibuses and drinking cheap beer, and where everyone is a travel agent. In Jakarta we were on our own. We were just beginning to talk about how Indonesia differs from its neighbours, not really pinning it down, when Molly was papped for the first time. We were on a walking tour and we all laughed about the pictures on the way to visit a mosque. People asked her for pictures there again, and we realised we must be the only white people these girls have seen all day. There must not be any tourism on Java. So our conversations about moving on became even more stressed. There must be a reason nobody comes here. Elsewhere in Southeast Asia, there is so much demand for transport that your hostel can just get a minibus to come and get you the next day, and you round up all the other backpackers from the city and go out on the motorway.
Oh, it's embarrassing.
No, thank you, mate. Sure, you're a nice guy.
In Jakarta, we got a taxi to the train station and mixed with the locals. It was really crowded and really hot. We forced through the crowds, doing a few laps of the station, trying to figure out where to buy tickets and which platform to go to. I'll admit I wasn't looking forward to the train, but somehow we ended up on an empty carriage and the train was really spacious and really clean.
Chicken fried rice with the chicken removed. Not bad, right?
The trains in Indonesia stop at each station for so long. We arrived in Yogyakarta 8 hours later in the dark. The next day in Yogyakarta we went for a walk and saw that it was a much more relaxed and interesting place than Jakarta.
It is absolutely boiling. I mean, we have come out in the middle of the day, but I'm sweating so much just from this little walk.
One group of schoolgirls used Molly in some project.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. What is your name? Molly. Molly. Where do you come from? England. Oh, England. What do you think about Jogja right now? Boiling.
Not again. How does it feel to be a Indonesian celebrity?
I got interviewed this time.
I just wanted to know about Molly's hobbies. It's always you, like I'm here. I mean, I'm glad because it means I can just film you and laugh
I
at
always
you.
want a picture when you're so sweaty.
Yeah. Just a normal route to a toilet behind a restaurant through the backs of like 100 people's houses.
Borobudur was one reason for coming to Java. It's the world's largest Buddhist temple, and with amazing views from the top, I even wanted to go despite the rain and the entry fee. It was surprisingly busy, but we were actually still the only Westerners there. There were a lot of Indonesian school trips, and the children all held back and just stared at us. until the rain cleared and the phone cameras came out and we were herded from group to group taking picture after picture in every last configuration of kids because they each wanted their friends to not be left behind the camera, and then someone else had to go and take the photo instead. They were clearly having the time of their life, so we were happy to go along with it. Once we got used to the process, the ability to put a smile on someone's face through the language barrier actually feels very rewarding. I mean, they were all polite and grateful enough.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And seemed unable to hide how ecstatic they were to have photos with us. They'd run off showing them to their friends on their phones. We arranged a taxi for 5:30 a.m. and bought our tickets to Malang at the station. It was another slow, crawling journey, but really comfortable and, in a lot of ways, better than the minibuses of Thailand. The previous night, the lady from our hostel had very kindly explained to us the different ways to go up Mount Bromo, another reason for coming to Java. In some places, travel agents force packages and detailed graphics in your face, but here we were hashing out a plan for one of the country's biggest tourist attractions on scraps of paper like nobody had ever come through here before. In Malang, we stayed in the worst hostel. We visited this village that some art students had worked a project on, sort of poverty glorified through a whole load of bright paint, and it worked. It attracted tourists, us, and we made a few donations. Again, we were the only Westerners and people seemed to love meeting us. At least some good had come of us coming here. We often wished for English menus, tourist buses and single-serving friends, but Java and its sort of welcoming, sort of indifferent lifestyle reframed some other places we'd been as weird, mass-produced holiday packages. Neither way is better and neither way is worse. I just had a long time to write about all these thoughts every night with nobody new to hang out with and nowhere serving alcohol.
Hey. Oh, take a picture? Yeah, sure.